we could conceal this secret. Then sometime last week, someone phoned USA Today and told the paper.
And Arthur Ashe joins me now. Arthur, you are a public hero, but you are a very private man. You are obviously worried that this might get out in some fashion. Now that it has, however angry that may make you, isn't there a possibility of a greater good here?
Oh, yes. There was always the possibility, Tom, that I could use whatever means I could, as Magic Johnson has and some others before me, to further the knowledge and educate the public more about this. But I was still angry that something that I considered private, certainly our family wanted to keep it that way, was not my volition to keep private. I was forced to go public today.
Will you become an activist?
Oh, I certainly will, but I'm not going to drop everything else that I do and just concentrate on AIDS. I've been an activist all my life. Maybe the better question is, will you continue to be an activist? And I certainly will, and I look forward to doing some things. In fact, mentioned it to President Bush on the phone today.
When you had open heart surgery in 1983, and that seems like the likely time that you may have contracted it through blood transfusions, were you even aware of the AIDS virus at that time, or of AIDS?
Oh, yes. I was quite aware of the possibility. I even thought about it in the aftermath of the transfusions I received, but didn't pay too much attention to it until I remember reading in the New York Times here in the city that there was a window within which a lot of transfusions contained tainted blood. I didn't think too much of it, though, until September of '88, when I found out that I indeed had gotten 1 or 2 bad units of blood.
You were infected for several years before you were aware of that. Your wife, Jeannie, is HIV negative. Does that tell the doctor something about transmission of this virus and about AIDS?
We've talked about that. Yes, you can't be very definitive about it, but it certainly leads one to believe that it is not always transmitted heterosexually.
You're on a very heavy medication schedule based on what I heard you describe here today, and you say that you're feeling pretty good most days, but half a day out of 6 you don't feel so good. Is that a result of the condition or of the medication?
I think it's probably a combination of both. The standard medication, AZT, which I tolerate very well, is quite toxic, and some reports think that in time the AZT loses its potency. I've been able, and I feel lucky to have tolerated it as well as I do, but I think it's a combination of the disease and possibly the 20,000 worth of medicines that I have to take every year.
You've already heard from President Bush, and the White House has now announced that tomorrow they'll make still another announcement that there will be freeing up more experimental drugs. Maybe you're having an impact already.
Well, certainly, I may have been an added incentive, but certainly this is something that needs to be dealt with a bit more aggressively, and I think the President's moving to do that.
You're 48 years old. You have a 5-year-old daughter.
I'll be around a little longer.
How do you talk to her about it?
We're going to start in about an hour, but as you and I talk, she doesn't know a thing.
Arthur, it goes without saying, personally, and I know that I speak for everyone else, we wish you only the very best.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much for coming by tonight. And NBC's chief medical correspondent, Robert Bazell, also is with us tonight to describe the risk of contracting AIDS now as a result of blood transfusions. Robert?
Well, the key to the answer to that question, Tom, is that Arthur Ashe was infected before the AIDS blood test was developed. Since that time, the blood supply has gotten much safer.
Since the spring of 1985, every unit of blood donated in the United States has been routinely tested for the AIDS virus. But in the late 1970s and early 80s, before the test was possible, the blood supply was dangerous. Vivian Howard, like Arthur Ashe, is one of the almost 5,000 Americans who got infected through a transfusion at that time.
In the beginning, I thought I was only going to last a couple of months, and I was angry and I was mad at the world, and I cried a great deal.
People can remain without symptoms for up to 10 years after they get infected with HIV. And even after AIDS develops, people often live for many years. For people getting blood transfusions nowadays, the risk is much less than it was before the test was in place. But it is not zero.
In spite of all the testing, there still is a chance that a rare person will receive blood that is infected with the AIDS virus that couldn't be prevented by the current tests.
The problem is that among potential donors, there is a period of a few weeks to a few months from the time a person is infected with HIV until his or her blood tests positive. In the 7 years since the AIDS blood testing began, federal health officials have confirmed 20 cases of HIV infection through blood transfusion in the United States. Officials estimate that the risk of getting the AIDS virus from a blood transfusion today is 1 in 225,000 for each unit of blood. To avoid even that tiny risk, many doctors recommend that people store their own blood when they can, before elective surgery.
But often surgery is performed in an emergency or when people are too sick to store their own blood. So donated blood will always be a crucial part of medical care. Tom?
Thank you, Robert. And when Nightly News continues in a moment, the many lives of Yasser Arafat. First pictures of the PLO chief after the plane crash.